As many people
financially.
Okay,
I guess I just didn't know.
going to call the meeting to order and start with the pledge of allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Whitfield.
Aye.
Counselor Morocco. Here. Counselor Petropoulos.
Here.
Counselor Gilat.
Here.
Counselor Grimaldi.
Here.
Counselor Peeler.
Here.
Counselor Lavin.
I am here.
Counselor Brennan.
He is absent.
Mayor Valentino.
Here. Thank you. And before we dig into the agenda, I'm going to make a motion to amend the agenda to add a resolution in support of continued and increased state aid for local governments and another resolution for establishing a public hearing for the sale of city-owned property. I so move.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Petropoulos. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we have an amended agenda. Next, we have public hearings. The first public hearing we have is amending the sewer rate rentals. I will call this public hearing open if anybody would like to talk on the sewer rental rates. We'll close the public hearing and move on to the next one, which is a public hearing for zoning map amendment. And I'm opening that public hearing now. If anybody would like to speak on that, I'm going to leave the floor open for a minute. We do have one person that did have a request for a email comment, and our city clerk is going to politely read that if nobody else is coming to the podium. City clerk?
All right. These comments are from Jeanette Gall. Dear City Councilors, I'm writing you regarding the proposed zoning changes that are on the agenda at tonight's meeting. Specifically, I'm concerned about the proposed changes for buildings on the east lake side of Exchange Street to be permitted up to 5 stories. Of course, subject to a developer actually wanting to build to the maximum height. Given our wonderful natural and therefore lower elevation lakefront, adding buildings of this height on the east side of Exchange will significantly impact the character of the transition to the lake, and of course, from certain places, the view of the lake. I think there are some areas where 5-story buildings would have less of an impact, so I'm not opposed to the zoning changes in totality, but I'm opposed to changing it in places where it would be most impactful to Genevans, namely, in my opinion, east of Exchange. As someone who owns a building on South Main Street with a view that would be impacted by some of these changes, I'm of course writing from a space of personal investment. The current zoning would allow a 3-story building. The revision to zoning that you are being asked to approve would allow a 5-story. Given that many of the buildings in this area are apartment buildings, this would impact a significant number of Genevans and change the character of those properties. While the planning board was approving combining parcels at the OEO site, Charles King did significant research about the impact of a larger building on that site. I urge you to reach out to speak to him if he has not contacted you. To be clear, I'm not opposed to building on that part of Exchange. I'm in favor of it. I think it would be wonderful to bring these spaces back into productive use. I just don't think we need to change the zoning to allow buildings taller than what are currently neighboring that space. I think we can develop those areas while having minimal impact on the existing other parts of the city. The zoning was written as it currently is for a reason, to allow for development while maintaining the infrastructure character. I know that there are some larger buildings in downtown, like Seneca Apartment Building, which are already above 5 stories. I think you would likely agree with me that the building is aesthetically very out of character for most of downtown. I do not think we should use the existence of other outlier properties to encourage us to zone higher. I do have a suggestion that I would like you to consider. I think that best building practice would be to add new projects without decreasing the value of existing properties. Decreasing the value of South Main Street buildings will lower the building's assessment and therefore taxes. If we can build a way that doesn't do that, it is better for everyone. I encourage you to revise the zoning resolution to remove all parcels east of Exchange Street. Thank you for your time and attention. Best, Jeanette Gal.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to approach council about the public hearing for zoning map amendment? If not, we'll close that public hearing. And we'll move on to our third public hearing, which is a public hearing for Restore New York Round 9. And I would like to open that public hearing now if anybody would like to speak on that issue. If not, we will call that public hearing closed. And before I move on to discussion, I have one proclamation that I'm happy to read. Whereas Thomas Cunningham began his service with the City of Geneva Hydrant Hose Company on December 1st, 1973 as a volunteer firefighter. And whereas Thomas has faithfully and conscientiously served the Hydrant Hose Company and the citizens of Geneva for 50 years, during which period of time he was a dedicated firefighting support, fundraising, and the Hydrant Hose Corporation. And whereas these years of service have been recognized by exemplary dedication to the best interest of the community, as Thomas has worked constantly to support and give back to his community. And whereas the City of Geneva continues to benefit greatly because of Thomas's commitment to supporting his fellow firefighters in the city. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Steve Valentino, in my capacity as mayor of the City of Geneva, and on behalf of the entire City Council, would like to congratulate Thomas Cunningham on 50 years of volunteer service with the Hydrant Hose Company and express our sincere appreciation and gratitude to Thomas for his unwavering loyalty and dedication to the residents of the City of Geneva over the past 50 years.
Here, here.
Thank you. Next is a discussion on water and sewer rates by our city manager, and she's provided a variety of information for council before this. City manager?
Yes, I'll get it in a minute, Joe, that's okay. So this was a discussion item for council to provide some additional direction to staff regarding the water and wastewater sharing agreements from other municipalities. We have some longstanding water and wastewater agreements with neighboring municipalities, including the town of Waterloo, which is wastewater only, and then the town of Geneva, which for both services. The past agreements have dictated all of the terms of water and wastewater services provided by the city, our maintenance responsibilities, their maintenance responsibilities, and the capacity issued to each municipality. These agreements have expired, but we've been operating in good faith, which is often the case when these agreements expire. And we also started our ATAD expansion project in 2022. At that time, the three municipal partners in the wastewater agreement created a sharing arrangement to ensure that costs related to the expansion would be shared among those three municipalities, which I shared with all of council. In 2025, city staff are planning to work with an outside contractor with expertise in the field of water and wastewater to review the Headworks loading capacity study as well as other information, our existing rate structure, and to craft new agreements with all of them to ensure that the City of Geneva is really receiving fair compensation and that we are working in partnership with those municipalities. Prior to adopting any of those agreements, similar to in the past, those resolutions would come forward to council and then we would adopt those agreements. This really is an opportunity for council to provide any insights that they have into either this process. We did, as part of the budget, include the rate study, so that way we can look at how we craft that and use some expertise of people that study this for a living and have worked with other municipalities to bring those partners together. As a caveat to that, Ontario County is working on their strategic plan, and we've had discussions about having a strategic session with them. They held a similar session already on the west side of the county. They want to hold one on the east side of the county with these municipalities to talk about infrastructure in general, because there are a lot of infrastructure needs. And so I think those pieces all tie together. Again, for this evening, I provided in advance the previous resolutions, the current agreements or the agreements that were in place, and then as part of the discussion, there has been other discussions about what we should or shouldn't do with these municipal partners. So I've outlined what the current plan is, and if there are things that you want to incorporate into those discussions or have in addition to those, this is your opportunity as a council.
Thank you, City Manager. So now the floor is open for discussion on those agreements. Council Lavin?
touched on a couple of these things. One of the aspects is that the timeline that you put out for getting this RFP out, for getting the study back, and that acting on it puts us into 2027. So you have almost 2 or 3 years in which the existing agreements, such as they are, will be in place at times when I'm hopeful, and I think your agenda has suggested that you'll be in discussions with Town of Geneva and others about shared services. This is one of the great assets that the city has, and it gives us a reason to discuss development issues that Mr. West is trying to help in the city. One thing, I've looked into some of this, because in the Town of Geneva, for example, the council should know that they charge the people of the city of the Town of Geneva for sewer based on their assessment, not on their water use, which water use is the normal way of doing it, but they do it as assessment. As a result, commercial properties and wealthier people in the town pay higher sewer rates to put their sewer largely into our plant, and reduces the rates to the average resident of the town, again exacerbating some of the tax differences. So these issues they're complex, but they speak to the other portion. It's not just the Town of Geneva, but the Town of Seneca pumps their sewage to the Town of Geneva, some of it, and into us. We are not even aware as a municipality as to how many people and how much of that is coming in. I'm not sure that we're aware of how much the town is getting paid from the Town of Seneca to pass through their sewage to us. And again, it speaks to the package of inequity that exists between the town taxation, town spending, and while I know this is really a regional plant, and that we get money from the town, arguably we could not wait 3 years to suggest to the town that we'd like to have anybody in the town using city water and city sewage to be our customers, so you know who they are, how much they're spending, and how they're being charged. And they're not being charged in a way that increases the inequity between water and sewer in the town and water and sewer in the city when they're coming largely from our own plants. I just think waiting 3 years waiting 3 years to address this, when we're also could be talking to them about fire consolidation and other parts of the inequity of what's happening between the town and city, is really just the ultimate of kicking a ball way down the lane. And I know there could be litigation involved, but that's why we have attorneys. And I think again, I know government is slow. I've been told that a million times, but when we have the opportunity of putting putting ourselves in a position of having the town respond to us and our needs, they want to do 139 new homes out on Carter Road, largely, I believe, will be water from the city, sewage from the city, to a town that doesn't even charge for the property tax out there. Doesn't help the town's tax rate. It just puts 139 new families using essentially city services, and we're not getting the benefit from it. So I think there's some issues that could be addressed more quickly than a lugubrious study that takes years to get done, and may be missing the point that we have an asset that could be helping the people of the city and bringing more equity to the relationship between the city and the town in competitive things. They also, the town, and this is their right, use some of their sales tax to reduce the water rates in the town. So while the town pays us money for the water, the residents of the town often pay less in their houses than the people of the city of Geneva who own and operate the plant that produces the water. These things, kicking them down the road for 3 years is a long way to go. That's, I'd like to see us be more aggressive with this great asset that we have, to share, to think about equity between the people of the city of Geneva. We are the donut hole, they are the donut. And we're just twiddling our thumbs for a few years on this issue.
If I may.
Yep, please.
I don't know where you're getting the 3 years, Counselor Lavin. In 2025, we're planning to do this rate study and craft those new agreements. So I'm not sure where 2027, that's in your briefing.
Well, but you said before, we have not even gone out for an RFP on this yet.
Correct, because we have to wait for 2025 funding, but we have begun the crafting of an RFP. We've done a headwork study, and so we're combining that all.
Yeah.
So that's in your briefing, that we're planning to do it in 2025.
But it also, that piece of the study, Your Honor, is solely based on the idea that how much can we do, not how much should we do or how much we should charge for it. Those
So-
are issues that,
That's the rate study. So I want to be clear, there's two different studies.
Right.
There's a capacity study, which is being completed currently.
right,
And then there's the rate study, which would look at what other municipalities charge, how we do it, what kind of operations we would run. And that's the study that we will launch in 2025 with that funding.
yeah.
And then put into place, the goal is to have that into place with the new agreements coming before council next year.
Agreements with a lens of equity and fairness and the asset that we own and
Correct.
operate. And to the advantages of the city, not just to accommodate growth in the town that does not benefit the rest of us. If we're gonna add water and sewer to a 139 unit operation in Carter Road, I think we should set up a planned urban development where we share the revenue from the land. And that doesn't, waiting, I still think if you get that study back in 25, I'll stand and applaud. I think it'll come back in 26, we'll talk about it for 6 months, and anything we act on will show up in 27. That's where I get the 3 years. But
Other counselors to add into the discussion? If not, I'll jump in.
I can jump in.
Sure,
before
Counselor
you wanna
Pillar,
have the
yeah.
last word. Thank you for all the information that you provided for this. It was a good background and it was a good history. Two things that I want to touch base on, because I know this is just a discussion and an opportunity for direction. One of the concerns that I have, and I want to make sure that it's in the back of the minds of our executives, is that in the agreements going forward, I think we need some specific verbiage about new development and water retention. I think we brought that up before, and it was noted before that we like it. The town has certain agreements in place about new construction and wastewater or and retention, and that's something that we want them to kind of, as they are our orbiting real estate, like we are landlocked by them. We depend on them and hopefully they can consider that type of an agreement. Also, I think, based on our previous agreement, we might have opportunities to expand our percentages in debt and debt sharing and that type of thing, because I don't know, I mean, right now we share, 15% of our debt with the city, with the town, roughly, give or take. I think, does the town demand more than 15% of our sewage? And if they do, we should just have it be relative. I think it's fair. It's not asking for anything that they don't, right? You pay for what you eat, right? And I think that's important. And I don't know those numbers, but I do know that's the theme that I want us to kind of negotiate with. And that's it. That's my only direction, and I hope I can have common agreement with that, because it's common sense.
And if I may, the water retention strategy was something that the Storm Task Force also recommended that as we're
Yes.
doing this. So
That's
I
why
think-
I want to make sure that,
Yep.
yeah.
So Counselor Peeler, you want to, Counselor Petropoulos, go ahead.
Don't have much of a voice tonight, but yeah, water retention is definitely has to be there because again, word on the street, why does this street flood? Why does that, it's coming from the town. I understand that there are provisions for that down the horn, but as long as that doesn't get overlooked or half-baked or, swept under the rug, I'm good with that. Councilors Lavin and Peel, you both make good points, but I think as long as all of that's in writing and it's fair and nobody's getting a free ride, I'm cool with it. Thanks.
Counselor Gilat?
Amy and whoever else, we had a lot of discussion back and forth about, are we getting value for our services? So are we getting value for our services? I mean,
Yeah.
is there a scale, is there something we can, that's fair value, not
That's-
overcharging, but are we still getting that constant revenue share, or revenue input from them?
That's the purpose of the study, is to have an outside look at all of that by people that do this with all sorts of municipalities, districts, all of that, and pull that together. And so that'll be a piece of this. Before we bring you recommendations on these agreements, this is why we have these two groups saying, this is what your capacity is. The other side to that is, because we're a municipality and not a business, there are certain limitations on the sale of our product. I guess I'll put it in those business terms. We really can't make profits off of other municipalities, which is an interesting concept. As we talk about revenues, and cost sharing is different than revenue generation. And you can't really think of water and sewer as revenue generators. It's a cost sharing type of
Just one more thing.
mentality.
And also, we touched on it a little bit before the meeting, but as we expand, as we start taking on more partners, sharing our water, sewer, et cetera, do we have the equipment? What's it gonna cost to upgrade? And are they buying in, are they in to help us pay for those services?
Correct. And I think that's a piece of the one agreement that I shared with you is the ATAD expansion. To do that project, the other two partners came in. They are sharing the debt load. They're sharing all of those pieces, because for them to continue to have capacity, they need to be a part of that. And I think that's the piece, is having another entity look at that. And when I say another entity, it does not mean that we don't have great staff resources that will also be a part of that. We do have great staff resources that will be a part of those conversations and have helped guide us in the past. It gives them more support. So I want to just also compliment our staff that are doing this work, to understand that. I think one of the pieces that when you look at water and sewer that comes out, is you have to look at the capacity overall, and what our capacity needs are first as a city, and then what our capacity allows for others. And right now we have 2 municipal partners. We have had other municipal partners requests, conversations, those kinds of things. So we want to look at big picture on this, because it is a great resource that we have here in the city, and it should be treated as a resource that not only provides for us, but also provides for others, because it's kind of that all of us together have to move it forward.
But I'm sorry, Your Honor, we are not legally obligated to expand to whatever demand Waterloo or the town of Geneva does. It may be in our business interest to do that at some point, but we're not legally we haven't handed the keys to the kingdom to those municipalities, and that we have other issues with those municipalities about services that they benefit from that don't pay for. And that's why I just think it's beyond the use of the water plant. It's segregated. It's the assets of the city being used by others without recompense. And those don't need to wait for, those other issues don't need to wait for a water study. They want 139 new houses put on the city system probably in the next few months.
Okay, done?
Yes.
Counselor Grimaldi?
I'm gonna back you up some because, sorry, I hate microphones. If they want us to give in to this manufactured housing project, why don't we ask them to let us annex that into the city? That's what most of the other towns in the area have been doing. I mean, we have that option. Sewer and water rates between the city and the towns, we've always paid for them. I mean, even now, you were on when we went to court, right? I mean, they ended up paying less than what it cost us to put the water out there. And I don't want to see us do it again. And we have professionals. I don't see hiring an outside contractor is going to help. It's just some guy who's going to tell you what your professionals already know. You know, why waste the city funds on somebody who doesn't know any more than our guys know? So
I was fortunate enough to be on council when this agreement came into play. And leading up to the finalization of this agreement, which actually went before a judge to give the final determination, there was a lot of, I'll say, heated back and forth between the city and the town. And I think back then, there was a serious inequity
Yeah.
between the city and the town
Giant.
in water and sewer. This recent agreement that has expired, that we're still acting in good faith, we tried to push the envelope on that one. We really tried to get as much as possible, and as the city manager has just told us, we can't make a profit off it, so we were limited in our capability to, we were ready to increase costs well above the cost of the city of Geneva residents for water and sewer to the town residents, but we weren't allowed to do that by legal judgment. So I think what came out of that judgment was the sharing of capital, which was very beneficial to the city of Geneva. And it gave us some kind of foothold, as far as building some level of equity. And I think I agree with many comments. I would like, this is for us to drive direction to staff, and that's really, I want us to be as specific as possible in what we want staff to try to accomplish as we move in. I think we need the data. I think the data is critical. And I might disagree that bringing in an outside resource, it's got to be as accurate as possible when we do these studies, not only the rate study, but the flow study, or the capacity study. I think the challenge is going to be, we're in a good position. And Council 11, I think you've said this before, we have a gem. We have an opportunity to really do a lot of great things in the city of Geneva. And I think I sit in this seat because I believe that. I really do. And the study, I don't want to be looking at the same issue in 5 years. I want to make sure that the city of Geneva has a great relationship with the surrounding municipalities, but the city of Geneva also puts itself in a position to be able to take advantage of all those great opportunities, those services we provide. So I'm in a strong agreement. My direction to staff is very similar to what Councilor Peeler said, to go in as heavy-handed as you can. And I don't know what we can or can't put into the negotiations. I don't know if we can talk about other shared services during this. I want to keep it as legal as possible, because the legal expenses we had with this current agreement that we had, I'm not sure what the number was. And Adam, I don't know if you are on board then, but it was pretty hefty.
It was a lot, yeah.
Yeah, it was,
Yes.
it was,
Over hundreds of thousands of
oh,
dollars.
definitely. It
Yeah.
might even approach six figures, or seven figures.
Yeah.
And I'd rather have open, honest discussions. I'd rather have tough, but open, honest discussions with the surrounding municipalities, so that we have those agreements that we both walk away from the table, maybe with a little bit of pain, but we walk away happy that we've reached an agreement that it's going to help us grow, but it's also going to help them grow. If the surrounding communities grow, there's no place to go but the city of Geneva.
Yeah.
City of Geneva is kind of the catalyst where people come to our downtown and hopefully spend their money. So for me, there's an advantage to some of that growth. But what we wouldn't want to do is expend our capacity and not have the ability to take advantage of those internally on ourselves. So, my direction is move forward as fast as possible with the studies. That's important, and go to the table of negotiations as heavy-handed as possible and legally. This ultimately could end up being a water and sewer district, and if that happens, then it's out of our hands. And I'm not sure when that happens or how that happens, but that is also another possibility.
I agree, and I'm not trying to vilify the town. What I'm trying to say is that there's equity issues between the town and the city. They don't have to wait for a study to get fire discussions going, police discussions going with the county and the city over things, and put them on a wait in line. In the long run, as I've said a number of times, we're all dead. And I think we can bring those things up, and we can be collaborative on the water and sewer. We could probably agree in a year, within a year of these things, if they show the same understanding of the shared resources that are being used. When you put 139 new houses out at the corner, your police calls, even though it's in the town, our police go out there all the time. Our fire department is first on the scene in any fire in the town or city. These are equity issues, and the cost of those things, with 139 new units out there, of the city services get used more, not less.
Yeah, and I agree. I think the fire discussions are already
Yeah.
lined up and going to take place. So, those are initiated, and I think we're sending the message. So, the message is out to our surrounding municipalities that we're here to do business, but we want to have a good level of equity on the services we provide. So
They're very good people in the town.
Yep.
Mark Venuti is, I couldn't have more respect for.
So
He
do you have
closed-
direction?
I think so. I'll just kind of give back what I'm hearing. So I think one of the pieces on here is looking at the equity among the partners and how we craft this. Understanding, we can be heavy-handed on this. This is our resource, and that also we need all of the partners to succeed throughout it. We will be working, because we did budget for it, with the professionals on that side, looking at water retention. And I know already we are very aware of the I&I and making sure, as we're looking at this, how that connects in there, talking about debt sharing, municipal sharing, and moving as quickly as possible on the agreement. So I think I encapsulated all of that. If there are other things, I'll let you know, and I'll get back to you once the RFP is out.
Thank you. Next is the supervisor update. I see Supervisor Kennedy here, and I want to let you know that I wasn't hacked, but people love using my name and trying to leverage for Apple cards. If you did buy any Apple cards, don't send them to the scammer. You can deliver them to me directly.
Very funny, and thank you, City Clerk, for your assistance in determining that that was a spam, but I do have the Apple cards with me. I went out and bought them anyway, so that's a joke.
Hope there's 9 of them.
That's a
anyway.
joke. Merry Christmas.
So, cyber attacks among us, our municipalities, is serious business, so I did pass it along to the county. Anyway, season's greetings. Thank you, Mayor, City Manager, councilors. I'll be brief tonight, since my last update, which was in October. Just want to recognize Councilor Brennan, who's not here. He attended with me 2 of the committee meetings that I regularly attend last week, and he had an opportunity to meet several supervisors as well, just to see how it works. And we had about a half an hour, actually, with Chairman Todd Campbell, so it was time well spent. Councilor Brennan also got to meet an incoming councilor, Gwen Van Laken, she is also the executive director of the Partnership for Ontario County, and she is starting in January as a city councilor in Canandaigua. So that was also a nice benefit of that. So it was great to have him along. Also, Councilor Petropoulos, for your event, that also resulted in me having coffee with Chief Evelyn, so thank you for that. That was also, you did a great job. That was a great opportunity and important commemoration. Tomorrow, quickly, the Humane Society updates for November. There were 118 reports of various kind of animal issues, and City of Geneva had the most. We had about 16% of those calls related to everything from dog bites to lost dogs to, I don't think large animals, but you can imagine across the county what those calls are about. So we had 19. The Economic Development Department has secured, you probably read this, a $2 million grant to improve rental improvement properties throughout the county. They had a hearing here, I think last month or the month before, related to that. This is intended to focus on certainly the housing shortage overall, specifically underutilized and distressed rental properties. The specific targets will be focused on those apartments that require substantial upgrade, renovation rather. The process from here in will be likely to hire a consultant or consultants who will manage the rollout of the grant. And then there will be a multiple property owner sign-up meetings throughout the county to engage those landlords that are eligible. And with any questions, economic developer is Ryan Davis, 585-396-4460. you'll be hearing more about that either from me in February or you'll see it from other sources. Finally, I think that's pretty much it, and I just want to recognize, tomorrow night we take the board takes a vote on the landfill, and I just want to recognize, not by name, but for those city residents who have been vocal, mostly if not entirely against the landfill over the years, and most especially over the last 2 years. I think it's a real testament to constituent engagement, and many people from the city have attended both the committee meetings but also the board meetings, and as you know, that's it's almost a half an hour drive, depending on the night. So kudos to them. And that's all I have, but I would certainly entertain any questions. Counselor.
Do you expect you have the weighted vote to follow up the closure tomorrow, and then also to congratulate
Crystal
you?
ball.
Congratulate you on the work that you and Mark and Lou Gard have done on that.
And Supervisor Pruitt, I'm not going to do any predictions. I anticipated that question. So, but I did feel confident enough to thank those city residents who have been engaged to date.
And has there been any merit in forming a consortium of towns that are being hampered by the other dump, but are not getting any of the financial support that it seems to be buying off votes in Seneca Falls? I wonder if we should put together the small towns and bigger cities that, and put some money together to get our attorneys ready.
I think it would be certainly worth looking at. Keep in mind that, the trajectory of the last 40 years with our landfills development, there was a regional approach considered way back when, and that didn't work out. That's not to say it wouldn't work out in the way that you describe it. So
70 more feet on top of the Mount Rushmore over there. Anyway.
it'll be interesting to see what happens with the county's involvement now, Seneca County's involvement
Yeah.
with DEC. Other questions? Or
Thank you, Supervisor, and
suggestions?
good luck on
Okay.
that vote. I think you know where we all stand. We'd like to.
Good. Thank you. And I think, Amy, this is for you.
Oh, yes. I don't know, close.
Okay, we're moving on to consideration of meeting minutes. I'll need a motion for November 6th, November 16th, and November 20th.
So moved.
Counselor Peeler, seconded by Counselor Gilat. Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Whitfield,
Aye.
Counselor Morocco, Counselor Petropoulos,
Aye.
Counselor Gilat,
Aye.
Counselor Grimaldi,
Aye.
Counselor Peeler,
Aye.
Counselor Lavin,
Aye.
Mayor Valentino.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Next is public comment, and I have one person signed up, Judy Salati.
Good evening. My name is Judy Salati, and I was on the Storm Task Force. And I know that council, first of all, I want to thank council for even addressing the issue of storms, the flooding and everything. I really, as a resident, I really appreciate that. I know that you got our recommendations. I know that you asked for us to prioritize those. But I have just one comment, and I know that when we had our meeting, you were really focused heavily on the sump pumps. So I would just like to give you some thought. And then first, I have to say, in the very beginning, I did not understand the problem with the sump pumps. I always said the sump pumps aren't the issue. That was what I always said. I take that back. However, let me add, 25 years ago, when my basement flooded for the first time, the fire department came, they turned off my gas, and told me they did not pump, to call the plumber. Now, no one in all these years ever told me how to pump out my water. Now, fortunately, I was pumping it out the window in a hose, but I was never told how to do that. Now, move forward. At that time, Geneva was not a flood city. Those of you that lived here all these years, we didn't have a problem with flooding. It's only been in the past 5 or 6 years, and people are responding to the flooding by sump pumps. But who is educating those people on how to use their sump pumps? No one is telling them, but they're getting reprimanded for not doing it right. I don't disagree with new landowners having to be evaluated, but I don't think that's the first step. I think we need to educate our people first. We need to show them, we need to help them to understand, like I didn't understand, why it is so crucial that we use the sump pumps appropriately. And I think that should be the first step. I think the education should be at the top with all of this flooding. When I talked about a brochure, flood survival, we need to make up something like this for our citizens to have so that they know what to do. If they're in a flood zone, how to prepare way before, how to prepare, how to respond during, and then what to do afterwards. We need to get the city to buy in, to understand, to work with us to resolve the problem. It's not just your problem, it's the whole city's problem. And we all of us need to be a part of the solution. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is the city manager report.
Okay. So for community members, last night, council and department heads met for a strategic thinking session. And in that session, they really, the team confirmed pending final wordsmithing, the 5 areas of focus as set by council earlier this year, which are fiscal and organizational stewardship, economic development, intergovernmental relations, communications, and quality of life, all focused around improving our population performance metrics. The council and department leaders also reviewed the 2024 and 2025 department work programs, and started to discuss some of the resources that were provided in the budget that will enable those work programs to go forward. A second meeting will be held in Q1 of 2025 to get to the second half of the meeting that was planned for last night that we didn't get to, really to talk more about the Plan, Do, Check, Act processes, so how we're planning all of those pieces, how we're monitoring them, and then continuing to build the partnership between the leadership team and council. We will be having a similar strategic thinking retreat in April of 2025 so that project planning can start for 2026 right before we dive into that May start of the 26 budget process. Storm Task Force report. The task force brought their report forward earlier this month, or late last month. They have met to rank, or they've been communicating their rankings on the different projects. Obviously, Judy just talked about a couple of the projects that they recommended, and that'll be available to council at the next council meeting, and the Storm Task Force report will be available on the website in the near future. Shared services, the town and city have been talking about our resource recovery park here in the city. Working with the town supervisor, as well as our current sustainability officer who is shared between the town and the city. We're looking at continuing our partnership related to, and expanding it related to the vermiculture trench, which the city owns. Currently, we have a USDA grant sharing between the town and the city that sustainability officer. The town currently operates a transfer station for town residents, and we have developed a proposal to share resources so that we will have a city transfer station where the vermiculture trench is at. That will be staffed actually by a town employee using the grant resources. It'll be a pilot program, hoping to commence that in January to February. We will be expanding, so the vermiculture trench is currently in operations, but it's on limited availability. We'll be expanding those hours within those 2 days a week. So that's pretty exciting that we're getting closer to be able to share those resources with a vision of, in the future, looking at how both the town and city handles our waste. The other piece The county has released the Community and Emergency Management Plan. It is on our website. It is being shared multiple places. The Ontario County Community Survey will encourage residents to continue to fill that out, talking about emergency planning. It will help with future resources, allow us to understand the level of preparedness and where we can do better as a whole community. So I'll make sure to continue to push that out, and please share that with others. It's on our website and our social media. And then I have 3 Shade Tree Committee reappointments, which are city manager appointments. Jay Freer, Tom Burrell, and James Engel, all reappointments through 12/31/2027.
Thank you. Moving on to unfinished business. The first item is the second reading of an ordinance amending Section 341 of the Geneva Municipal Code, water and sewer rates, presented by our city comptroller.
Thank you, Mayor. So as a part of the 2025 budget adoption process, City Council adopted the water fund budget, and that included water rates increasing 1.5%. And the ordinance before you tonight has that information reflected. Let's see. Has that information reflected?
Need a motion?
So moved.
Counselor Peeler, seconded by Counselor Petropoulos. Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Whitfield?
Tie.
Aye.
Counselor Morocco?
Aye.
Counselor Petropoulos?
Aye.
Counselor Gilat?
Aye.
Counselor Grimaldi?
Aye.
Counselor Peeler?
Aye.
Counselor Lavin?
Aye.
Mayor Valentino?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Next is a local law amending the sewer rental rates, presented by our city comptroller.
Thank you. So same deal here, just for sewer rates, and they are set to increase 2.5% from 2024.
I need a motion.
So moved.
Counselor Peeler, seconded by Counselor Gilat. Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Whitfield?
Nay.
Counselor Morocco?
Aye.
Counselor Petropoulos?
Aye.
Counselor Gilat?
Aye.
Counselor Grimaldi?
Aye.
Counselor Peeler?
Aye.
Counselor Lavin?
Aye.
Mayor Valentino?
Aye. Next is the first Next is the first reading of an ordinance amending the zoning map expanding CB5, presented by our Director of Development.
Alright, folks, so we discussed this last month and had no comments, so we moved ahead with first reading. Happy to zoom in on the map if you've looked at it and have more questions or want to have further discussion, but we didn't have any last month, so we're moving forward with the process. So you're aware we'll have one more reading. We're waiting on a step from the county. This is being reviewed by the County Planning Board, subject to GML 239 MN and L, if you really want to know. But those are the steps. We've got first reading, second reading next time, and that'll wrap it up.
Thank you. I need a motion. Counselor Lavin, second by Counselor Grimaldi. Any discussion? You've done exactly what we've asked you to do, David, so we appreciate it.
I try.
Anybody? Counselor Petropoulos?
Yeah, I just want to say, I did mention I was a little skeptical last month, and the email comment kind of confirmed my worries. We don't want anything big and ugly blocking anyone's view of the lake, and again, I'm big on aesthetics. The Seneca Apartments is a good example of something that doesn't fit in with the downtown. I don't want to see that. Now, again, both the commenter, who I'm going to guess is either a Ward 1 or a Ward 5 resident on South Main, agrees with the overall, yes, we definitely want more development where we need it, but not where we don't. So I would request that as soon as this doesn't get out of control, that we're shown perhaps architectural drawings, something where we can actually see what this might look like. Otherwise, have at it.
So,
Counselor Peeler?
do you mind if I? Yeah.
Hit it.
Counselor Lavin had a question for me before the meeting, and I think it's useful for everyone. In our zoning, every project that would be of this scale goes to the planning board for review. So adopting the zoning doesn't allow any building to be constructed. It allows a building to apply to be constructed. Those buildings would, their actual plan would go to the planning board and go through the site plan review process, the development plan review process. There are some exceptions to what would go through that. 1 to 3 unit residential buildings is the only thing that wouldn't require planning board. Well, and a building under 500 square feet. So if someone built a very tiny building that was 5 stories tall, I guess they could get through it if each one was 100 square feet.
Like an obelisk.
Other than that,
Go.
it'll be going to the planning
I've
board.
seen it done.
Thank you. Counselor Peeler.
I just want to provide really positive feedback for getting this done. We have asked for aggressive economic development and kind of paving the way for that. And I'm not all doom and gloom with this. I think there's opportunity here. And if we want to open up the gates of economic development, we have to build up, not because we can't build out. And I'm excited to see what might be presented to us for development because of this change. That's it. Thank you.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Whitfield,
Aye.
Counselor Morocco,
Aye.
Counselor Petropoulos,
Aye.
Counselor Gilat,
Aye.
Counselor Grimaldi,
Aye.
Counselor Peeler,
Aye.
Counselor Lavin,
Aye.
Mayor Valentino,
Aye.
motion carried.
Next is a resolution setting a public hearing for the adoption of a local law reducing the number of planning board members from 9 to 5 presented by our city clerk.
This is just brought back from last month where we were looking at reducing to 7. The request was to reduce to 5, setting a public hearing.
Okay, I need a motion. Counselor Peeler, seconded by Counselor Gilat. Clerk, please call the roll.
Well, hold on.
Oh, the discussion, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I just want to get a follow-up from the city attorney. We did have questions about if reducing it to 5 was going to disrupt the ability to have a bare majority, or, because that's really it. I mean, because I know that 7 allows for a bare majority of, I think, 3, but a 5, does a 5 completely remove the ability to even have a bare majority, meaning,
Three. No, it would still have 3.
I think you understand my question,
Yeah,
right?
so the standard rules for having quorum and majority are unchanged. So by reducing it to 5, you would need a number of 3 to adopt anything, to have a quorum to move forward. Currently, obviously, with 9 people, you need to have 5 people, which makes it obviously difficult, which is the problem we're trying to solve. So reducing it to 5 doesn't change any of the other outstanding rules. Obviously, in situations where you have a recommended denial from the Ontario County Planning Board, you would require supermajority in those instances, but by and large, the standard majority of 3 would be your order of the day.
So to kind of piggyback off of what Councilor Levin was saying over here is, let's provide a scenario, right? That'll help me understand it, because I want to make sure that we're doing right. I know you got our back too, but I just want to kind of let this kind of map out. We have a planning board meeting. It's fictitious. We have one person not show up. A four is still a quorum to make the vote. Technically, a 3 would be a quorum,
Yeah.
which to me is vernacularly impossible, because doesn't a quorum mean 4?
No, it's 3 under the New York law.
No, I know, but what does quorum mean in Latin?
Well,
Right, so I just want.
don't quiz me on.
I understand, but I know it's a majority, but
Ecum
it's just.
Spirit 220.
Right.
Yeah.
So but a 3 would be a quorum.
It's
If
still-
if there were 2 people absent, 3 would still be a quorum. But if we had one dissenting vote, would 2 votes still pass the?
No, you need 3 of the fully constituted board.
Right.
So
Okay.
if you have 3 present, you need all 3. If you have 4 present, you need 3
Thank you.
out of
I just
4.
want to be clear
Yep.
on those details, because those actually come up in meetings when you have absences.
Yeah, no, for the most part, 3 is the magic number here. on this.
Very good. Thank you.
Can I ask a question on?
Sure
on
can.
5? I know a lot of the towns that have 5 have 2 alternates. Can you do alternates still?
We haven't had that in our code. There's no provision for that in city law, to be honest. So it's something I could take a look at if you wanted to pursue that. We typically
It just
don't have
gives you those
alternates in
extra
city
couple
law.
guys.
Yeah, we typically don't have that in city law.
So
Okay.
We've had challenges filling boards. We're doing this for a specific reason.
get it.
Right.
I like it.
And I think it makes sense, but I also would say that we monitor the situation. If we want to go to 7 from here, we are legally okay going to 7,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, you can do it however you want.
Yep, so,
So
I
we
just
could
think,
go 5 and
yep,
see how
pay
it
attention,
goes.
see how it works out, and if
I'm
we need
willing
to
to
make
try
some
it,
changes, we
yeah.
could do that. Okay. Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Whitfield?
Aye. Wait, hold up.
Sorry.
This is going from 9 to 5, is this what?
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, clerk.
Counselor Whitfield?
Aye.
Thank you. Counselor Morocco?
Aye.
Counselor Petropoulos?
Aye.
Counselor Gilat?
Aye.
Counselor Grimaldi?
aye.
Counselor Peeler?
Aye.
Counselor Lavin?
Aye.
Mayor Valentino?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Moving on to new business, a resolution to re-levy of water account balance and code DPW fees onto property tax bills presented by our city comptroller.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is something we do every year prior to the tax bills going out, any unpaid balances, as you mentioned, on anything DPW related, water, sewer bills, things like that. And so we're looking to re-levy these amounts onto the tax bills. I do have one sidewalk repair to add to the list. So what I will do is just include the whole list with the minutes. It adds about $3,700 to the total. So with that, we'd be looking to re-levy just over $23,000 in uncollectible fees to the 2025 property tax bills.
Need a motion?
Make that motion.
Counselor Grimaldi, second by Counselor
Second.
Peeler. Any discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Sorry. Counselor Whitfield?
Aye.
Counselor Morocco?
Aye.
Counselor Petropoulos?
Aye.
Counselor Gilat?
Aye.
Counselor Grimaldi?
Aye.
Counselor Peeler?
Aye.
Counselor Lavin?
Aye.
Mayor Valentino?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Keeping the city comptroller busy here. Resolution amending the 2024 general fund budget for equipment plan presented by our city comptroller.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is interesting because it's not technically a budget amendment. It's really just a reallocation of budgeted funds in the equipment reserve account. So basically the way it worked was the police department had budgeted for a couple patrol vehicles at a set amount. That amount came in less than what we had budgeted, which is a good thing. However, the bad news was that we did need to upgrade our records management system, our RMS. We are looking to piggyback off the Ontario County system if possible. And we would like to reallocate the funds that were set for those vehicles, that were left over from those vehicles to go towards the RMS.
Need a motion? Counselor, okay. Counselor Petropoulos, second by Counselor Morocco. Any discussion? Just-
So this money is coming out of budget funds, right?
This would come out of the equipment reserve. So it was budgeted for, but not out of the general fund. It would have come out of the equipment reserve fund that's been established.
Okay, so we can use that for something other than equipment.
No.
It's still equipment.
So that they consider us hooking in with them still equipment?
Yes.
Correct.
Yep.
Just for clarification, since we did use the word amending budget, do we need a supermajority? Maybe it was a legal question.
You're not really amending the budget.
You're not really, it's just a reallocation of funds. I
Okay.
think it's just a majority.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
This is something that they've wanted, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So it hooks our police in with the sheriff's department.
And it manages all of our data at the police department.
And you know how much money this is?
So the amount that they want to put towards it is $46,905. I believe the cost is a little bit more than that.
Okay, 'cause,
And
yeah, they were
this
saying
would go
30
towards it.
38 and 12.
So I'll just be clear. We're still negotiating on what this looks like.
Yep.
No matter what we do, we are going to have to update our RMS system. This will get us closer to that amount, and we had already allocated funds there. We don't have a final cost on the cost of this because we have to continue to negotiate that.
Okay. With the sheriff's department.
Counselor Gilat.
County.
I was gonna retract my question, but I can add to that, I think, a little bit. Is, the system they have now is gonna crash. I mean, it needs to be replaced. So
Correct.
it's-
Yeah,
it's-
correct. Our goal is to be able to work with the county to do this. And we've been working both the police department with the sheriff and myself with the county administrator, as well as the two IT departments. We'll continue to do that. If this is not the system we go with, we still have to go to another system, and so that's the piece.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Whitfield,
Aye.
Counselor Morocco,
Aye.
Counselor Petropoulos,
Aye.
Counselor Gilat,
Aye.
Counselor Grimaldi,
Aye.
Counselor Peeler,
Aye.
Counselor Lavin,
Aye.
Mayor Valentino.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Next is a resolution adding extension of Avenue G to the local highway inventory presented by our Director of Department of Public Works, who's hiding in the wings, Mr. Venuti.
Thank you, Mayor. This resolution in front of you is basically an adoption of a section of street that already exists here in Geneva. Searching through records, we found that a couple different properties had overlapped the right-of-ways. And for us to receive some state funding on what is commonly known as the CHIPS program, we need to show the state that we have a resolution adopting the street for our maintenance, which we've been doing for decades. And then also add that portion, which would be from Genesee Street to Lehigh, onto the local highway inventory that the New York State DOT creates.
I need a motion.
Aye.
Counselor Lavin, second by Counselor Grimaldi. Any discussion?
Just, there's no costs associated with this, or like expenses, or like
Well-
received?
Our continued maintenance of the street,
But it's continued, I mean, we were always maintaining it.
correct?
Okay.
Yeah, so we technically own it anyway. Right, because if you maintain it for
After
3
this,
years.
after this
Well,
resolution.
I don't know, I've been through lawsuits with it, but if you own it, if you maintain it for 3 years, technically the city takes possession.
Certainly, there's storm sewer systems there, there's street signage,
Yeah, so I mean, does nothing for it, doesn't cost us anything more.
correct?
Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Whitfield,
Aye.
Counselor Morocco,
Aye.
Counselor Petropoulos,
Aye.
Counselor Gilat,
Aye.
Counselor Grimaldi,
Aye.
Counselor Peeler,
Aye.
Counselor Lavin,
Aye.
Mayor Valentino.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Next is a resolution setting a public hearing for adoption of a local law reducing the number of zoning board of appeals members from 9 to 5, presented by our city clerk.
After the,
This is zoning board, not planning.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did
So-
the same thing. I'm like, are we doing the same thing twice?
When we brought planning board last month, there was direction to reduce the zoning board of appeals as well. So that's what we're doing here. And again, it's just because of needing to fill the seats on the boards.
So I need a motion on setting the public hearing.
So moved.
Counselor Peeler, seconded by Counselor Gilat. Any discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Whitfield,
Aye.
Counselor Morocco,
Aye.
Counselor Petropoulos,
Aye.
Counselor Gilat,
Aye.
Counselor Grimaldi,
Aye.
Counselor Peeler,
Aye.
Counselor Lavin,
Yes.
Mayor Valentino.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Next is another resolution setting a public hearing. This one is for sharing the results of the MAP program presented by our Director of Development. I
So-
switched gears there. I
Yeah.
didn't read from,
One of the requirements of having a CDBG program is that you have a public hearing at the beginning, and then when you're most of the way through, and that will inform your next application. So we have expended about 76% of the budget for this program. The rest will be expended in the next month. We received checks today, very happy day. Some happy business owners coming in. We distributed $117,315 of state money to Geneva businesses. which is fantastic. And we also brought into our coffers $20,000 to pay for the staffing to run that program. So it's going well from that perspective for us. It's a program that pays for itself and brings state money in for our businesses. The next step to be ready for our next application, which we will do as soon as this one is closed out, is to have a public hearing where people can give feedback on what they think the needs of the community are, how the program was run, et cetera.
Thank you. I need a motion. Counselor Lavin, seconded by Counselor Whitfield. Any discussion?
Director West, what's MAP stand for?
MAP stands for the Micro Enterprise Assistance Program. Don't get used to it because they changed the name to BEST.
Okay,
So
I know
we
they
won't use
changed
it
it all.
anyway either.
I agree. It's a great day. Yep.
Yeah.
And this is part of the community development block grant program?
CDBG, yeah.
Correct.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought they were separate entities.
No,
They are-
there's a bunch of different kinds of programs under CDBG.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Whitfield,
Aye.
Counselor Morocco,
Aye.
Counselor Petropoulos,
Aye.
Counselor Gilat,
Aye.
Counselor Grimaldi,
Aye.
Counselor Peeler,
Aye.
Counselor Lavin,
Aye.
Mayor Valentino,
Aye.
motion carried.
Next is a resolution in support of continued and increased state aid for local government presented by me. This resolution calls upon the governor and members of the Assembly and Senate to continue an increased AIM funding beyond 2024 and 2025 fiscal year to 2025, 2026 year and beyond, which is not automatic, and that's why we're passing this resolution. I need a motion. Counselor Grimaldi, seconded by Counselor Petropoulos. Any discussion? I also did sign on a letter with a variety of other mayors with NICOM for this. So the more money we can head back to Geneva, the better off we are. Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Whitfield,
Aye.
Counselor Morocco,
Aye.
Counselor Petropoulos,
Aye.
Counselor Gilat,
Aye.
Counselor Grimaldi,
Aye.
Counselor Peeler,
Aye.
Counselor Lavin,
Aye.
Mayor Valentino,
Aye.
motion carried.
Last resolution is establishing a public hearing for the sale of city-owned property presented by our city manager or our city comptroller? City manager?
City manager / I'll bring in the city comptroller if needed. So this is a parcel of property that the city currently owns. It's adjacent to, actually, you can now see Avenue G on the map I just provided to you. It's off of Lehigh Street, adjacent to CCN properties, as well as what we call the Foundry area off of Avenue F. This will allow us to dispose of a piece of that property, 0.56 acres. It's currently being used as parking spaces by CCN, and so we would like to dispose it at an estimated cost of up to $19,000.
Need a motion? Counselor Gilat, seconded by Counselor Grimaldi. Any discussion? Counselor Petropoulos.
So this is currently, this is kind of near the Cracker Factory building, I think?
Across the street.
Yeah.
Across the
What's
street, yep.
called the Cracker Factory. So it's currently being used as parking. Is this going to be developed, or is,
No, they would
We
like to
just-
continue to use it as parking.
I see only we're now going to sell it to them? Okay.
Yes, it'll go back on the tax roll and be a part of their parcel instead of ours for their maintenance,
All right.
not ours.
So do we have a price on this? What are they gonna pay?
Up to 19.
Oh, okay. That's a fair
In goods and
price.
services, yeah.
I have a quick question. I don't necessarily anticipate a quick answer. So this is undeveloped land now, or is it paved?
It's undeveloped. I think there may be some, I don't know, it's gravel. I don't think it's paved.
So if they do acquire this and they develop it to a more paved or sightly area, will there be a slight bump in the assessment so that we can not only sell it but also collect more value?
It should increase it a little bit.
Yes, and also we'll collect more than zero, which is what we currently collect.
More than zero, I'm okay with that. That's
The
fine.
other thing is they would have to put some.
I'll
kind
take
of-
it. Small wins. Here we go.
Yeah,
Clerk, please call the roll.
they would have to put some kind of stone.
Yeah,
Counselor
yeah.
Whitfield,
So that wouldn't be
Aye.
fair either.
Counselor Morocco,
Aye.
Counselor Petropoulos.
Aye.
Counselor Gilat,
Aye.
Counselor Grimaldi,
Aye.
Counselor Peeler,
Aye.
Counselor Lavin,
Aye.
Mayor Valentino,
Aye.
motion carried.
Next, we have a variety of appointments to boards and commissions, what I'm glad to see. And I'm going to pass this on, but we'll take them in blocks. If there's any board or commission that has more than one appointment, we'll take that together unless there's any objections from counselors.
We can take them all together.
You want to take them all together?
Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm
I
okay with
don't
that.
see anybody in there that I don't like.
Well, that's a completely
I
fair
mean,
and
well,
honest
that's
thing
how
to
you-
say.
I mean,
Counselor, anybody
These
that
are
you don't feel should be
political
appointed.
appointments.
Right.
Yes. Counselor Gilat, yes, please read them all off.
Okay, you recommend for, we have mostly reappointments, there's 2 new appointments too, so I'll just run through the list. For Board of Assessment Review, Deborah
I
Wright,
understand.
she's a reappointment. Board of Ethics, we have Jeffrey Geiger. For Historic District Commission, we have 2, Victory Lehman and Jerry Buckley. For Planning Board, we have 2, Dave D'Amico and Ann,
Nanu.
yeah, what is it?
Nanu.
Nanu, sorry about that. Okay, Police Budget Advisory Board, we have 2 new appointments, Richard Hoyt and Elsie Nepa. And then we have 2 reappointments, Amaris Engel and Paul D'Amico. For Zoning Board of Appeals, Robert Myers is a reappointment. For LDC, Mark Rodriguez. And Fire Commission from Hydrogen Hose, Jay Fitzgerald.
We have a second.
Second.
Counselor Peeler, discussion. Okay, I just, I want to, Counselor
Well, it
Petropoulos.
was brought up at the LDC meeting that Mr. Rodriguez needs to sign his oath of office this time.
Okay, I think a variety of signings of oath of office need to take
They
place,
all
right?
have to.
Yep,
Yep, they
great.
all gotta do it.
Yeah, and I just want to thank Jay. Jay is going to be the new fire commissioner for the hydrant hose. And I'd like to thank the outgoing fire commissioner, Don Wheeler, for his service.
Oh, very good.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Whitfield,
Aye.
Counselor Morocco,
Aye.
Counselor Petropoulos,
Aye.
Counselor Gilat,
Aye.
Counselor Grimaldi,
Aye.
Counselor Peeler,
Aye.
Counselor Lavin,
Aye.
Mayor Valentino,
Aye.
motion carried.
And the city manager would like to,
I forgot an update. Just so everyone's aware, we'll be working through the process to appoint our next comptroller, working with an interview panel that's comprised of LDC and the bid and LDC bid and IDA. I always forget one in the alphabet soup, to move that forward. So we have a permanent appointment of a comptroller coming in the near future.
great, thank you. Now we have mayor and council reports, and we'll start from my right with Counselor Lavin and come around the horn.
Not much. I did want to ask if, at some point, if the city manager could give us an update on the process for the short-term rental activities, how the licensing is going, what numbers we're seeing, and what kind of participation we're getting from the people, see what the numbers look like now.
Sounds good. Counselor Peeler.
I do not have a report from the planning board. I do want to make it publicly known that I did Google quorum, and it has nothing to do with the it has nothing to do with the Latin for four, which is, quad. Anyway, it's just a completely different word. So hey, I thought it was a different word. So that's it, and I hope people can enjoy coming out this Friday at 5:30 for the city tree lighting. I'll let the mayor also promo that as well, because that's his gig. I heard Santa's coming to town. I don't know, maybe.
And, hot chocolate and candy canes, that's the best.
Counselor Grimaldi.
I have nothing from the housing authority, but I do have something I'd like us to start looking into, and that is the new code requirements they're putting in for housing. There's some pretty heavy-duty stuff. One of those is that any new house has to have a sprinkler system, which means that the price of that house is going up 20 to 50,000. So,
nobody's building
and
that
residential sprinkler systems, you can put them in if you want them now, so why should the state have to tell us? But that's my opinion, and that's why I think we should get together and discuss some of the other things that they're talking about, because a lot of it is over the top. So,
Interesting. Thank
if
you.
we're gonna support one thing, we should
Yep.
look at going one way or the other. You support it, or tell them to stick it.
Are these state?
State requirements,
codes?
the code.
Is there
So,
anything that these guys can do?
well, all we can
Opposed
do
to
is complain and talk to our legislators. And right now, I know there is some work in the state senate to crush some of this, and it's all coming from the legislator, because we've talked to the state codes office, and they have nothing to do with any of it. It's all who gives the right money. But I
Counselor,
didn't say that.
Counselor Gilat.
Okay, first of all, I have to refer to my phone, so please excuse the inconvenience I guess of me. Anyway, for a bid, they reviewed the 2025 budget draft at the last board meeting. Cat's doing some fundraising and will present the final 25 budget for the board to pass at their December meeting, which is soon. Ribbon cutting and new business. Dove Block Project had their official ribbon cutting on November 6th. Thanks to fellow council members who attended and Pam Hamlin, who said a few words. New businesses in town. We have 3. Southpaw Grooming at 120 Castle Street, Jinx Inc. at 134 Castle Street, and Total Recall at 40 Castle Street. So we're getting some businesses going. I hope all the luck in the world for these folks. Beautification, new holiday decorations going up over 2nd Street for the mayor's tree lighting. 2 of us have stole your thunder.
That's all right. Go for it.
It is a 27-foot, 7-foot snowflake skyline. It will be a great addition that can stay up after the holiday and come down after the Winter Arts Festival. Kat will be on WGBA talking about the Geneva Jingle events at 7:45 on Friday morning. The bid is looking into doing a downtown farmers market. Stay tuned for more information on that. The spring NYS TIA, New York State Tourism and Industry Alliance conference is going to be held in Canandaigua in April, the 22nd through 25th. We will have over 200 tourism industry representatives and vendors from around the country here in our region. Cal will be sitting in on planning committee and hope to host a familiarization or FAM tour here in Geneva. And that's all I had from bid. The police budget review board, we're excited. We're full board now after these appointments, and our first meeting will be on December 14th. We've already met with Anthony Noon, who's the chair. Already met with the police chief, and they're kind of sizing things up as far as what direction to give the board. And we're excited to have some influence or recommendations for the police budget, not only 25, but also 26. That's all I have.
Okay, Counselor Petropoulos.
Right, well, Counselor Gilat kind of stole a little of my thunder there. I too wanted to welcome to downtown Jinx Inc., Total Recall, and Southpaw Grooming. I was at the ribbon cutting for Southpaw Grooming, I think it was 2 days ago? Yesterday? No, 2 days ago. It turns out the proprietors, myself, and 2 of their friends all had a summer job at the Three Brothers Winery. Small world, really is. In other news, the LDC meeting happened today. A couple of highlights. Well, we reappointed Mark Rodriguez to the board. I know BID wants to team up with the LDC and the IDA for a little financial support. And there was a neighbors meeting at the Bizzuto Center. I think it was a week or so. It was before Thanksgiving. I couldn't stay for barely any of it, really, but I did go. It apparently was a wonderful event. A lot of people showed up from various different neighborhoods around, and the LDC would like to make this maybe a monthly, every month or 2 months, at the Bizzuto Center, which is on Castle Street. In terms of other events that happened, we had a town hall with awards 4, 5, and 6 on November 16th. We'll have the next one soon. We'll get the word out. I wanted to thank Supervisor Kennedy for attending the Veterans Day event that the local Masonic Lodge put on to dedicate the talking bench down by the lakefront. Assemblyman Gallahan was also there. Members of council were also there. Thank you, Councilor Gilat. And who else was there from council? No, I think you were it. That's it. It was Councilor, yeah, of course, he's not there. Yeah, Councilor Brennan showed up for that. Thank you guys both. What else? I think that's pretty much it. Yep, and I know I wanted to just say that Supervisor Kennedy did inform, correct me if I'm wrong, our veteran service agent, Susan Smith, who I see regularly anyway. But we'll see what we can do to provide maybe a more comprehensive Veterans Day event next year. We'll, I'll spearhead it if we need to. But thank you very much. Appreciate that. And with that, I think that's it for Ward 5.
Council Morocco.
I want to thank Councilor Whitfield for inviting me to their the 2030 annual little gala they had at Club 86. I really didn't know what this organization was about, and I'm glad Councilman Whitfield enlightened me on this. In the small time that I spent there and talked with the people there, it's an organization that basically helps children develop from basically cradle to graduation, whether it be academic skills, motor skills, and even social skills and stuff. And I found that the information they got was really important. So if there's people out there or families out there that want to help their child develop throughout their educational years, I encourage them to get a hold of contact the 2030 organization and see what they can do to help them, because they also help out families too. On another front, so thank you, Councilor Winsfield.
You're welcome.
That was a great event. On another front, I had a couple of my constituents, contact me about a couple of complaints, and I want to give kudos to the few departments that handles those complaints. I forwarded them on. They handled them in a reasonable amount of time, and I'm happy to see that that's the way some of those complaints are seen. We have a couple other complaints that may take a little bit more time, and I understand, I make them understand that, but I'm hoping that the departments who handle those type of complaints do it in as timely fashion as possible. So I want to give kudos to those departments, and encourage people to use the complaint email that we have. It's at complaints@geneva.newyork.us, but some people don't have computers, or they're afraid to make a complaint, or they want to remain anonymous. Feel free to contact me, or I think any other counselor will be more than happy if if there is a complaint that, we will try to expedite it for you if you, do it. That's all I have.
I second that. Please send all complaints to Tom.
I didn't say all, I said other counselors will handle it too.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Councilor Whitfield.
I have a lot to say. As a member of this council, I have been told that my voice is either unheard or considered argumentative, as if speaking the truth about these issues makes me the problem. My silence is not one of indifference, but as a reflection of how difficult it is to get people to listen when it comes to uncomfortable truths. With that being said, when the noose incident was mentioned in the media, it was stated that there will be an investigation that it will pursue. It sounded similar to me as the situation in 2019 when my church was defamed with a racial-based imagery, as well as of buildings in the same vicinity. However, it was supposedly linked to a young female who was doing the damage. Although the height of the damage was in the reach of my own arm's height. But anyway, the elephant in the room is the one that carries the totem pole on its back, swept under the rug because we always want to talk about infrastructure of Geneva or economics and budget. Never do we speak about systemic racism. We don't talk about when it is mentioned these issues. We don't talk about when I mention these issues ever so often. It's not posted in the Finger Lakes Times. How about I'm being told that when I speak, I am being told that when I speak, when I finally speak, I sound angry or too loud, or that it doesn't help my voice when IT doesn't show you in media when you are speaking through YouTube. Speaking earlier today about affordable housing for Black and Latino families earlier during a meeting, an old city council constituent stated, if you are complaining about Geneva's housing, affordability, then why are you still here? Why not leave? However, we have been pushed away for far enough by gentrification. It's always painted with a fine brush that Geneva does not have these issues. I want to make it very clear that I am here to dig with a titanium shovel and uproot any dirt that is just like the dirt from the foundry. I don't care if it's a fact of me not being heard or masked. I am pulling the veil of these things, and it takes too long for the noose around the neck of our community is not loosened. I will do whatever it takes to unravel these threads. Of course, you can't relate, nor you shouldn't speak if what you say will show me your Kodak moment. This is long overdue and needs to be rectified. Systemic racism is alive and well. Why money management isn't presented in schools, why we aren't accepted in jobs that are of higher positions and not fast food or manual labor. Housing that is affordable is on the town borders. Food deserts are rare and scarce. You place a Dunkin' in a neighborhood that is impoverished but not a store with healthy choices. To even suggest or raise question about a landfill be placed in the properties near a courtyard shows the thought about the lives and health of these families, the children that live there. I wouldn't have raised this so profoundly if I hadn't been asked the question, why stay? This, as I see it, is that the way the city is being developed is only for a certain kind to live, to grow, and succeed. You may not understand it because you're on the other end of the rope, but the oppressed people do, and again, I'm going to do what it takes to help cut the twine. Per recreation, holiday hours for public skating are posted online. Over 700 skaters during our Thanksgiving holiday skate participated. Our office hours are posted on the website. We are still looking for applicants for the Recreation Advisory Board for 2025 appointment. Per Green Committee for the mayor's tree lighting on the 6th at 6 p.m., is it?
5:30.
The Green Committee is asking for volunteers to help with disposing of waste properly during the event. Daddies Do Care is asking for donations during this holiday to help the less fortunate families. We are asking for toys, hats, gloves, coats, and scarves. Also food that everyone can have a good holiday. The drop-off spots are Lattimore Physical Therapy and Geneva Public Library. And I wanted to add that the ribbon cutting today for Ibero was a great success. Councilor Lavin and I attended to the ribbon cutting. And if you don't know about Ibero, it helps African American and Latino entrepreneurs. I took a course and it helped me with my program, which is Daddies Do Care. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to back up a week to Thanksgiving, and I just want a big shout out. My first Thanksgiving goes to staff and all their efforts throughout this year. And my second shout out is to everybody on this council. We're here in December. We started in January. And I know we put a lot of time and effort in. We always wish we would accomplish more, but I think we've done a good job at working together and being professional to each other. So thank you very much for that. Next shout out is happy holidays. Whether it's Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, or Christmas, or however you celebrate the holidays, please take the time to enjoy the time with your families and friends. I think that's important. And although the tree lighting ceremony of the mayor Friday night is probably the premier event, there's a lot more other cool things going on in downtown. So please come out at 5:30. There is going to be a fill the cruiser, so if you can afford to, bring a unwrapped present to fill the cruiser. That's all for all the kids that can't afford to have presents. That'll be important for them to have a nice Christmas for them also. I will be meeting on the 18th of December for a regional mayor meeting. And I probably won't see everybody before New Year's, so if I don't see you, have a happy New Year's. But I would love to see you at the tree lighting ceremony on Friday night. Thank you very much. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion, but I want to do another plug for the ice skating rink.
Sure.
So I learned this the hard way. If there's a family of 4 out there and you plan on going ice skating for more than 3 times, I want to remind you, buy the family pass. About 3 times it pays for itself. Of course, I learned this the hard way. So it's really if you're, and 3 times adds up quick. That's like 3 weekends, right? So the family pass is very affordable. I highly recommend it. Don't be like me and find out the hard way and start doing a la carte skate rentals.
So I have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Second by Councilor Gilat. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?